Okay, so in this video we're going to have a look at the chord shapes that you just heard, and even though I use these shapes a lot, they're some of the most difficult to play shapes that I know. Now what makes these shapes so difficult to play is the large stretch that's involved in playing them. So to play our first shape, we've got our second finger on the 8th fret of the low E. The A and the D string are then muted by that second finger. We've then got our first finger on the 5th fret of the G string. Then we've got our third finger on the 8th fret of the B string. And then we've got our little finger on the 8th fret of the high E. So that's our C modal or C5 chord. Now for the rest of these shapes, our first, our third, and our little finger can just stay where they are. For our second chord, all we're going to do is move the second finger down to the 8th fret of the A string, and then our thumb is going to come over the top and mute the low E, and that's going to give us our F over C shape. Now the next chord is probably the most difficult one, so this is going to be our sort of A minor chord. And what we're going to do is keep our first, third and little finger just where they are, but our thumb is going to come over the top and push down on the 5th fret of the low E string. So we're now fretting this note, our A note, and then we are then taking our second finger and putting it in the 7th fret of the A string. And then we've got our second finger muting the D string below it, so that is going to be our A minor chord. So our last chord in this progression is going to sound a little bit odd by itself, but I normally just use it as a quick passing chord to go back into chord 1. So all we're going to do is take our second finger and put it on the 7th fret of the low E. That second finger is again muting the A and the D below it, and that's going to be our B over C chord. So if you're struggling to get the stretch required for those chords, a big tip that I can give you is to hold the guitar between your thumb and your first finger. If you have your thumb on the back of the neck to do these chords, you're probably not going to be able to make the stretch that's required for them. And of course for our A minor chord, you're going to need to take your thumb over the top, and the only way you can really do that is to hold the neck of the guitar more towards the palm of your hand, not with your thumb on the back of the neck. Okay, so let's quickly run through those chords. We've got our C modal chord, then we've got our F over C, then we've got our A minor chord, and then we've got our quick passing chord, our B over C. Okay, so let's practice those chords together now. We'll play 2 bars on each chord. We'll play a 4/4 rhythm for that, and we'll start at a relatively slow tempo and build up the speed. So I find that these shapes are really useful because we tend to play down the bottom of the neck of the guitar when we're playing in C major. We play shapes like this, you know, right down the bottom of the neck. So it can be quite nice to swap that up and play in a different register every so often. So I'll often do things like this if I'm playing in the key of C major. So let me know in the comments below how you get on with the stretch involved with these chords. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.